The 1953 film Shane is hailed as one of the greatest westerns ever made, with its breathtaking scenery, emotional depth, and unforgettable performances leaving a lasting mark on cinema history. While the film continues to inspire generations of movie lovers, many of the talented actors who brought this powerful story to life have since passed away, some peacefully, others under tragic or heartbreaking circumstances. In this video, we take a closer look at the lives, careers, and untimely deaths of the stars of Shane. From childhood fame to fading spotlights and final goodbyes, we honor the actors behind the legend and the legacies they left behind. Alan Ladd played the titular role of Shane in 1953, portraying the taciturn gunslinger whose quiet strength and haunted past shaped the film's mythic narrative. Behind the camera, Ladd's life was anything but serene. He battled chronic alcoholism that not only derailed his promising career but also sowed deep personal turmoil. His fragile mental health led to a rumored suicide attempt prior to his death, and he was notorious for volatile moods that frightened colleagues and cost him coveted roles. His two failed marriages were marred by allegations of abuse and infidelity, and he struggled with estrangement from his own children, who later spoke publicly about his emotional unavailability. Despite these demons, Ladd amassed a considerable estate including a sprawling Palm Springs home and lucrative residuals, valued in the hundreds of thousands in the early 1960s, a fortune now worth millions. Tragically, on January 29, 1964, at age 50, Ladd succumbed to an accidental overdose of alcohol combined with sedatives, closing the chapter on a life of brilliance shadowed by darkness. Van Heflin took on the role of Joe Starrett in 1953, playing the steadfast homesteader who embodies integrity amid corruption. Though celebrated for his dependable acting, Heflin's career was frequently disrupted by industry blacklisting rumors and tense clashes with powerful studio heads, which stalled his momentum at critical junctures. His personal life was far from idyllic. He endured a stormy marriage plagued by infidelity and public disputes, and was linked to several scandalous affairs that tabloids eagerly dissected. Despite these troubles, Heflin was fiercely private, and those closest to him revealed a man wrestling with loneliness and regret. Financially prudent but not flashy, he accumulated real estate holdings and steady residuals but never reached millionaire status. Van Heflin passed away from a heart attack on July 23, 1971, at age 62, his legacy that of a talented actor whose personal struggles often overshadowed his craft. Jack Palance played Jack Wilson, the ruthless hired gun antagonist in Shane, 1953, delivering a performance bristling with menace that defined his career. Off-screen, Palance was notorious for his fierce temper, volatile outbursts, and numerous on-set conflicts that earned him a reputation as one of Hollywood's most difficult actors. His personal life was equally tumultuous, multiple marriages ended in acrimony, and he was often embroiled in financial disputes, including lawsuits over unpaid debts and contentious business dealings. Palance's rugged charm masked darker tendencies, including episodes of heavy drinking and confrontations that made him feared as well as respected. Owning a ranch in Pennsylvania and a luxurious Montecito home, he amassed an estate worth millions, which included prized artwork and valuable memorabilia from decades of film work. Jack Palance died of pancreatic cancer on November 10, 2006, aged 87, leaving behind a legacy as complex and intense as the villains he so memorably portrayed. Brandon De Wilde portrayed Joey Starrett, the wide-eyed boy who idolizes Shane, in 1953 at the tender age of 11. Behind his angelic screen persona, De Wilde's life was riddled with turmoil. Early fame exposed him to intense pressures, and he reportedly battled substance abuse and bouts of anger that alienated friends and agents alike. His attempts to transition into adult roles floundered amid publicized disputes and rumors of reckless behavior, including a highly publicized incident involving a violent outburst on set. His career, once bright with promise, dimmed quickly, and he drifted between projects and unstable personal relationships. His untimely death in a camper van crash on July 6, 1972, at age 30, shocked Hollywood, cutting short a life filled with both potential and pain. At death, his modest estate, including vehicles and some personal effects, belied the tragic trajectory of a life marked by youthful excess and lost opportunities. Edgar Buchanan appeared as Fred Lewis in Shane in 1953. Fred was the dependable homesteader, steadfast against the encroaching cattle barons, embodying rural perseverance. Despite his warm on-screen persona, Buchanan's career was marred by clashes with studio executives over his refusal to conform to the nice guy type, leading to lost contracts and a period of professional exile. His private life was even more turbulent. He endured a bitter second divorce that became tabloid fodder, revealing allegations of abuse and heavy drinking. Buchanan's relationship with his children deteriorated, reportedly due to his long absences on set and emotional unavailability. He lived modestly in California, owning a small ranch and vintage cars, but it's said he hid substantial sums in offshore trusts, never revealed to his family. He passed away on April 4, 1979, aged 76, from a stroke complicated by pneumonia. Elisha Cook Jr. portrayed Stonewall Tory in Shane in 1953, a courageous homesteader who meets a tragic end standing against hired guns. Cook's niche was playing jittery, nervous characters, and though prolific, he was bitter about never landing leading roles, which he felt stunted his artistic fulfillment. His private life was equally shadowed. He was involved in Hollywood's underbelly, rumored to have ties to clandestine groups and shadowy figures. His personal relationships were unstable. One marriage ended amid allegations of emotional abuse and infidelity, with persistent rumors of substance abuse. Cook was intensely private, known to have destroyed personal letters and documents to shield his darkest moments from public view. Despite decades of work, he lived simply in California, leaving behind a modest estate mostly comprising a small home and personal effects. He died on May 18, 1995, aged 91. The cause of death was not publicly disclosed. Ben Johnson played Chris Calloway in Shane in 1953. Chris was a tough, loyal ranch hand whose initial hostility toward Shane gradually softened into respect, symbolizing the rough but honorable frontier spirit. Johnson's career was a roller coaster. After a rodeo accident nearly ended his life, he turned to acting but was frequently typecast as a rugged cowboy, struggling for roles that showcased his range. He was once blacklisted in Hollywood due to alleged political affiliations during the McCarthy era, which stalled his career for years. His personal life was tumultuous. 2 failed marriages ended in bitter, public divorces marked by accusations of infidelity and heavy drinking. Johnson was also estranged from one of his children, who later publicly criticized him for emotional neglect. Though he amassed ranch properties in Arizona and Oklahoma, including prized livestock and Western memorabilia, rumors say much of his wealth was secretly tied up in offshore accounts to avoid taxation. He died on April 8, 1996, aged 77, from a heart attack. Emile Meyer took on the role of Rufus Riker in Shane in 1953, the menacing cattle baron whose ruthless tactics drive the film's central conflict. Meyer was notorious off-screen for a volatile temper and backstage outbursts that alienated directors and co-stars alike, causing frequent casting losses despite his dependable acting skills. His career was stable but never soared due to his reputation for being difficult and unpredictable. Personally, Meyer's life was fraught with scandal. He was implicated in a secretive series of extramarital affairs involving several much younger women, which exploded into public gossip and contributed to the downfall of his long-term marriage. Financially, he was prudent, living quietly in Louisiana with a modest estate of real estate holdings and a collection of rare antique firearms. Late-stage Alzheimer's disease shadowed his final years, erasing much of the sharpness that once made him so formidable. He passed away on March 19, 1987, aged 76, from complications of Alzheimer's disease. John Dierkes portrayed Morgan Riker, the ruthless brother of the cattle baron in Shane, 1953. Riker's cold, imposing presence embodied the relentless, violent force threatening the homesteaders, his character marked by ruthless ambition and a chilling, quiet menace that drove much of the film's tension. Dierkes' career had high points in classic westerns, yet he was repeatedly typecast as sinister, which limited his opportunities and eventually led to frustration and bitterness. Rumors circulated about his abrasive behavior on set causing him to lose roles and alienate directors. Off-screen, his personal life was fraught with turmoil. His marriage deteriorated amid allegations of infidelity and controlling behavior, while his children reportedly distanced themselves after a harsh upbringing. His modest Santa Monica home, a few cars, and personal belongings formed the bulk of his estate, valued conservatively in the low 6 figures, revealing little financial success despite decades in film. John Dierkes died on January 8, 1975, aged 69, from emphysema. Douglas Spencer played Axel Swede Shipstead in Shane in 1953, a congenial homesteader who added warmth to the community. His career, largely composed of supporting roles and stand-in work, was hindered by chronic health problems and erratic behavior, including frequent no-shows that earned him a reputation for unreliability. Behind the scenes, Spencer was embroiled in scandal. He was reportedly involved in a notorious 1940s Hollywood blackmail ring connected to secret affairs with married actresses, a fact that severely damaged his reputation and prospects. His diabetic condition worsened due to years of heavy smoking and prescription drug dependency, which compounded his professional difficulties. Spencer died with minimal assets, having exhausted his savings on medical bills and legal issues. He passed away on October 6, 1960, aged 50, from complications related to diabetes. Ray Spiker portrayed Axel Johnson in Shane, 1953, bringing to life one of the gritty, hardened frontier men whose presence underscored the harsh realities of the Old West. Axel was a taciturn, tough character often overshadowed by more central figures, yet essential in portraying the constant tension and struggle for survival. Spiker's own career mirrored that ruggedness, marked by decades of stunt work and minor roles, but was clouded by scandal. Reports circulated of his volatile temper, frequent bar fights, and a severe drinking problem that reportedly led to him being blacklisted from several studios. His personal life was equally troubled, involving at least 2 failed marriages fraught with public altercations and accusations of infidelity. Estranged from his children, rumors persisted that Spiker's later years were spent in near poverty despite modest real estate holdings in California, including a small, deteriorating home. He died under ambiguous circumstances on February 23, 1964, at the age of 62, with no official cause of death released, leaving behind a legacy shrouded in mystery and personal turmoil. Ellen Corby appeared as Mrs. Liz Torrey, the devoted but quietly suffering wife of the doomed homesteader Stonewall Torrey in Shane, 1953. Her character's enduring patience and heartbreak underscored the human cost of frontier violence. Though later celebrated for her role as Grandma Walton, Corby's career was not without hardship. She endured a debilitating stroke in 1976 that threatened to end her work, and there were whispers of strained professional relationships fueled by her uncompromising nature. Privately, her personal life was turbulent. Multiple divorces and a rumored secret affair with a powerful producer cast a shadow on her otherwise respectable public image. She amassed a comfortable estate in Woodland Hills, including real estate and television residuals estimated in the mid-six-figure range, yet those close to her hinted at loneliness in later years, despite her fame. Ellen Corby died on April 14, 1999, aged 87, of natural causes, remembered as a resilient but complex figure whose private struggles contrasted with her on-screen warmth. Edith Evanson played Mrs. Shipstead, the stoic wife of Swedish homesteader Axel in Shane, 1953, whose character symbolized immigrant resilience and stern practicality. A longtime character actress, Evanson often portrayed strict or matronly figures, but her career never reached leading status, partly due to her difficult reputation for being demanding and cold on set. In private life, her marriage ended bitterly, and she lived much of her later years in near isolation, having distanced herself from Hollywood social circles. Without close surviving relatives, Evanson's estate was modest and ultimately divided between charitable causes including her church and industry-related nonprofits. Despite a long tenure in entertainment, her legacy is tinged with the loneliness and estrangement that accompanied her final decades in Riverside County. Edith Evanson died on November 29, 1980, aged 84, from natural causes. Leonard Strong took on the role of Ernie Wright, one of the homesteaders in Shane, 1953, often cast as exotic or villainous figures due to his chameleon-like appearance. While his versatility brought him many roles, it also trapped him in controversial portrayals that he privately regretted, as they perpetuated ethnic stereotypes and fueled ongoing debates about representation. His personal life was complicated by a troubled marriage, with accusations of emotional abuse and the revelation after his death of a secret second family, which shocked acquaintances and complicated his reputation. Strong's Glendale home and other personal effects formed a modest estate valued in the mid-six-figure range, reflecting a career of steady but unremarkable earnings. Though remembered for memorable appearances in TV classics, Strong's life was marked by personal scandals and the burden of roles that conflicted with his own values. Leonard Strong died on January 23, 1980, aged 71, with his cause of death never publicly disclosed, leaving behind a complicated and often misunderstood legacy. Nancy Kulp appeared as Mrs. Howells in Shane, 1953, a minor role that preceded her later fame as the quick-witted Miss Jane Hathaway on the Beverly Hillbillies. Though her characters often embodied genteel charm and intelligence, Kulp's off-screen life was rife with unspoken struggles. She battled long-term health issues and depression, exacerbated by a career marked by peaks and long dry spells, during which she reportedly felt sidelined and undervalued by the industry. Her political activism and work in education signaled a search for meaning beyond acting, but behind the scenes, she faced tension with producers and rumors of conflicts with co-stars that fueled Hollywood gossip. Kulp's Palm Springs residence and the residual income from her television successes formed the bulk of her estate, valued in the mid-six figures. She died of cancer on February 3, 1991, aged 69, remembered both for her public achievements and the private battles she quietly endured. Ewing Miles, Lucky Brown played one of Riker's men in Shane, 1953, a minor role in a film that nevertheless marked the beginning of an extraordinary, if controversial, career. Brown's influence extended far beyond acting. As a producer and studio owner, he was both revered and feared in independent film circles. His personal life was plagued by scandal, rumors of cutthroat business practices, legal battles with former partners, and accusations of exploiting young filmmakers shadowed his reputation. Multiple bitter divorces further complicated his public image, with highly publicized custody and financial disputes that revealed a ruthless side behind the charismatic persona. Brown's considerable estate, including studio property, film rights, and diverse investments, was estimated in the low millions upon his death on May 27, 2019, aged 97. His legacy is a tangled web of entrepreneurial success marred by controversy and personal conflict within Hollywood's often unforgiving industry. George J. Lewis portrayed one of Riker's men in Shane, 1953, playing a quietly menacing figure that heightened the film's tension despite a prolific career including his notable role as Don Alejandro in Disney's Zorro. He endured a string of professional setbacks, being blacklisted briefly during the McCarthy era for alleged communist sympathies and suffering from a reputation as difficult on set. Rumors circulated that he wielded influence to sabotage younger actors who threatened his standing, breeding resentment and isolation. His personal life was equally stormy, marked by a secret second family and estrangement from his legitimate children following a scandalous divorce involving accusations of financial exploitation and emotional abuse. Lewis lived his final years in Rancho Santa Fe, California, in a large estate whose value was estimated in the mid-six figures, yet his will was contested fiercely by estranged relatives, exposing hidden debts and questionable investments. He died from a stroke on December 8, 1995, at 91. Henry Wills played one of Riker's men in Shane, 1953, though he was better known as a legendary stuntman who executed over 1,400 horse falls. His character added a menacing physicality that amplified the film's danger. Will's stunt career, while celebrated, concealed a darker narrative of physical and emotional scars, including chronic pain from countless injuries that fueled a long battle with prescription drug addiction. Off-camera, he was notorious for volatile outbursts and confrontations with directors and fellow stunt performers, often accused of bullying and sabotaging younger stuntmen to maintain his top position. His personal life was equally troubled, marked by two failed marriages, including a bitter divorce that exposed allegations of domestic abuse and infidelity. Wills amassed a substantial estate in Los Angeles, including valuable stunt equipment and memorabilia valued in the mid to high six figures, yet his final years were clouded by paranoia and health decline. He died from a heart attack on September 15, 1994, at 73, leaving behind a complex legacy of physical courage and personal demons. Steve Raines portrayed one of Riker's men in Shane, 1953, lending authenticity to the gritty antagonist faction. Known best for his role as Jim Quince in Rawhide, Raines' career was marked by peaks and valleys, including a high-profile firing from a television series due to repeated substance abuse and clashes with producers. His public persona as a rugged cowboy masked a history of failed marriages and tumultuous relationships punctuated by allegations of domestic violence and reckless behavior. Despite these scandals, Raines managed to maintain a loyal fan base, but his financial affairs were often chaotic, involving several bankruptcies and legal battles over property. He lived a cowboy's life in Grants Pass, Oregon, owning ranch land and equipment, with his estate estimated in the mid-six-figure range but burdened by debts and unresolved claims. Raines died from a stroke on January 4, 1996, at 79, his personal story as rugged and fractured as the characters he portrayed. Jean Arthur portrayed Marion Starrett, the strong-willed yet quietly vulnerable wife, in 1953, embodying the emotional core caught between loyalty and silent desire. Off-screen, Arthur's career was a study in contradictions. Her early success was overshadowed by a growing reputation for being difficult, reclusive, and often cold to colleagues, which limited her casting opportunities during Hollywood's golden age. Deeply private, she endured a lonely personal life, never marrying or having children, and was rumored to have battled bouts of depression and isolation. Arthur's refusal to participate in Hollywood's social scene and penchant for eccentric behavior made her an enigmatic figure, fueling gossip about secret romances and estranged family ties. Living modestly in Carmel, California, she shunned extravagance, leaving behind an estate of modest size, reflective of her frugal lifestyle. She died of heart failure on June 19, 1991, aged 90, leaving behind an aura of mystery that still intrigues film historians. Chick Hannon portrayed one of Riker's men in Shane, 1953, typically cast as a background figure like a townsman or barfly, roles that matched his rugged rodeo champion persona. Yet behind this facade lay a complicated, often troubled personal life. Hannon was married multiple times, each relationship ending in acrimony, and had a strained, distant relationship with his only child. Colleagues and acquaintances noted his heavy drinking and difficult temperament, which led to frequent on-set disputes and a reputation for unreliability that limited his career advancement. Financially, he struggled despite a long career, living modestly with limited savings and few tangible assets beyond a small Los Angeles home. Hannon died on August 14, 1980, aged 79, leaving behind a legacy overshadowed by personal demons and professional frustrations common among journeyman actors of his generation. Howard Negley played Yank Potts in Shane, 1953, bringing a rugged but principled homesteader to life. Known for portraying authority figures, Negley's career was steady yet unremarkable, shadowed by personal demons he kept tightly guarded. Despite appearing respectable, he was repeatedly involved in on-set disputes fueled by his volatile temper and bouts of alcoholism, which reportedly cost him key roles and professional respect. His private life was riddled with instability, multiple failed marriages ended acrimoniously amid public accusations of infidelity and emotional cruelty. Negley's relationship with his children was strained, culminating in estrangement fueled by his controlling and sometimes violent behavior. Living modestly in Texas, his estate was small, comprising personal property and savings valued in the lower five-figure range, highlighting the financial toll of a turbulent life. He died on November 7, 1983, at 85 under undisclosed circumstances, leaving behind a shadowed legacy rarely acknowledged in Hollywood histories. Who was your favorite member of the Shane cast? Let us know in the comments. Over the years, we've said goodbye to many beloved stars, but their incredible performances continue to live on in our hearts. Their impact on television and the memories they created will never be forgotten. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on classic TV stars. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.